Once upon a time, a brand new piece of technology appeared on the scene. One that would allow politicians to conceivably reach into every house in the nation. One with few rules on advertising or what could legally be said. This was the time before fact checkers. And it was soon decided that this technology was too dangerous and the concept of political ads was outlawed in favour of public campaigning and grassroots activism. I am, of course, talking about television. We have put in place many rules about advertising on TV and radio. When, where, how, and to whom. We decided as a society that young minds were vulnerable and needed to be protected from predatory adverts, and that society as a whole should not be subject to endless unverified claims about products or politicians. We even created regulators like Ofcom and the Advertising Standards Authority in order to deal with this. We believed that politics belonged on the doorstep, not behind a TV camera, and that your success in an election should be based on how many people you can convince to knock on doors in support of your ideas, rather than how many adverts you can pay for. Election campaigns were still to be won and lost on the doorstep or on the floor of the House of Commons, and not the editing room of a TV studio. So imagine my surprise when a significantly more dangerous, less traceable, and much cheaper form of advertising was made available to political parties, and was done so with no regulatory oversight. It's been fairly obvious to me, at least, that this kind of advertising should be banned in the same way that we banned advertising on television. In the process of writing my book, Brexit, the Establishment Civil War, I became very concerned about dark ads and political advertising online, to the point where I suggested a ban on all advertising of political messages on social media. At the time, this was a small part of the conclusions I drew in my final chapters, but since then I have come to believe that this is the only way forward. The Leave campaign paid for 1 billion micro-targeted ad impressions. Do you really believe that this had no effect in such a tight and fraught campaign? If it was worthless, then why has this trend only accelerated since the Brexit vote? The Leave campaign spent £7 million in 2016. But in the 2019 election, Boris's Conservatives spent a cool 17 million. The cost of political campaigns had more than doubled in less than 4 years. So why have politicians failed to do anything about this? One of the biggest problems with the rapid expansion of social media into every aspect of our lives has been the lack of time to reflect upon what exactly we have agreed to. The pace of change has been far too rapid for our creaking political system to deal with. It took several years after the Brexit vote for MPs to compile a report via the DCMS committee on how technology and social media had affected the Brexit vote. This is understandable, given the age of our politicians. They lack an understanding of the digital world and perhaps even fail to grasp the complexity of the issue or the power of this technology. It's one of the issues with our aging systems and politicians. However, we have now had considerable time to reflect upon the way in which social media is and has been exploited to disrupt and influence our politics. In a normal system, the government would be attempting to understand and regulate the impact of something so monstrous and huge upon our society and our democracy. Yet, it is close to 6 years since the Brexit campaign began, and we still failed to do anything about this. This is a gross abdication of responsibility on the part of our politicians. The only logical conclusion I can draw here is that they feel that they can benefit from exploiting the power of this technology. Either they completely fail to understand the power and disruption caused by this technology, or they believe they can exploit it. Either way, they are failing in their roles as representatives of the people and are unfit to rule. The Greek playwright Sophocles famously said, "Nothing vast enters the life of mortals without a curse." Social media is too invasive in our lives to escape the negative effects, and we need to cut them out wherever we find. And that begins with banning political advertising online.